Hello, welcome to Community Connection. I'm your host, Tracey Christensen. Many organizations in our community are seeking to help those with special needs. Stephanie Mathis joins me now with interpreter Dawn Duran, and they're here to talk to us about their organization, Sego Lily Center for the Abused Deaf. Welcome to both of you. Thanks for being here.
Thank you, thank you. Thank you for having us.
So tell us more about Sego Lily Center for the Abused Deaf.
Sure. Our organization started back in 2000. There was a deaf lady who was murdered by her ex-husband, and the community felt a large impact because of that. That particular lady had no advocate and no services to help her protect herself and to be safe. And so she got stuck in a bathroom with the ex-husband and was held in there and killed. And so as a community, we felt like it was time for us to do something about domestic violence. And so we were able to get a grant and start training communities about domestic violence, and we established our agency. It was just 5 women from Utah who went, got training, and set up our agency, and we've been running strong for 13 years. We do have 3 offices, one in South Salt Lake, one downtown in Salt Lake, and one in St. George. So we're really thrilled about the growth of our organization. We assist people who are deaf, hard of hearing, or deaf and blind, who are experiencing abuse currently or who have experienced abuse in the past, because even if it's in the past, it continues to impact the functioning of their life. So we provide them services with hospitals, courts, to make sure that the services are accessible to those who are deaf. So if you're deaf and you've been abused, that's a double barrier that you experience, and so we want to make sure that they have interpreters at shelters, hospitals, wherever they go, and that they're not alone and isolated. Oftentimes we will find that the victims want to leave shelters because they have no one to communicate with and there's no accessibility. And so we try to help the community be safe and to be able to stay in the safe places that they are, and to provide them the hope that they can get out of those homes that are violent. Deaf communities are like a small town, so.
It's your organization serves such a specific community. And when I first heard, I thought, wow, what you're saying makes so much sense, that they even need help to get out of those situations, and that's when they can come to your organization for all of those services.
Yeah, right. About 16 shelters are located here in Utah, but they're specifically for those who can hear. There's none to provide services for those who are deaf or hard of hearing. But that's what we focus on, because we understand the culture, the language, and we know the various needs that deaf individuals have. We do provide training to those other shelters to help them be more accessible to those deaf victims who need their services. We work with law enforcement as well to provide accessibility and to be able to provide accommodations and services.
Is abuse in the deaf community, does it look the same as abuse in the community at large?
Oh, that's a good question. Many people know about, physical abuse, sexual abuse, spiritual, emotional abuse, psychological. That's something that's familiar to many individuals. But there are some things that are specific to the deaf community because we're very visual. Our eyes are very important to us. That's what we utilize for our language. And so being hit in the eye and injuring an eye is a very specific type of abuse. We had one lady in another state who lost her sight due to abuse, who was deaf. The other thing that we experience is abuse specific to being able to use their hands, because that's how we talk. And so if they injure their hands, then that limits their ability to communicate. Some deaf individuals try to speak even though it may not be clear, and so they'll experience abuse by a partner who will tell them that they sound horrible when they try to speak, and then they feel like they can't communicate. Oftentimes, even if both partners are deaf, the abuser will criticize their ability to use sign language and limit their ability to communicate. That's not something you see in the general community. The deaf community is quite small, and 90% of deaf people are born with parents who can hear. And so a lot of them have already experienced limited access to communication. And so we have a lot of events that provide the opportunity for deaf individuals to be together. And oftentimes we'll find abusers will refuse to allow them to participate in those events and be a part of the deaf community.
Tell us a little bit about some of those events.
Oh, sure. We have quite a few community events. Part of our goal at the agency is to increase awareness about domestic violence and sexual assault. Oftentimes people will come to us and say that they didn't even know it happened here in Utah. There's a larger religious community here, and so oftentimes that's where we can provide workshops and training. We just had one this last week. It was a self-defense class that we provided to teach them how to protect themselves. And again, like I said, you know, when they are growing up with parents who are not deaf, sometimes they have limited access to that information. We have other workshops. We have a bike event that comes up annually in the fall called Ride to End Abuse. And we do a fundraiser. We have one coming up October 18th, and it's going to be a black tie event at Thanksgiving Point. So we're pretty excited about those events.
And people can find out all on your website about those events, right?
Yes, absolutely, they can. Yes.
Thank you so much for the service that you provide and for being with us today.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Our goal at 11 is to keep our viewers informed of organizations seeking to help those with special needs. To learn more about Sego Lily Center for the Abused Deaf, please visit KBYU11.org and click on the Community tab there. Thanks for being with us. We hope you'll join us again on Community Connection.